Hello. So this is my review of Savage Desire by Leah Brooke, writing as Lana Dare. So this is the third book in the Desire Oklahoma, the Founding Fathers series. So it's been a while since she's written this series. So Untamed Desire and Scandalous Desire were the first two books that came out a few years ago, I think. So before this book came out, I wanted to brush up on my characters of Hawk, Blade, and Phoenix Royal. So I started reading Scandalous Desire, and I came across this brothers and a bit of about their backstories and why Hawk is so against falling in love and getting married. And so I got that backstory from there. So this story I'm just going to read the synopsis is so raised in a bordello, Sarah Smith knew it was only a matter of time before she'd have to earn her keep on her back, the way her mother did, instead of doing the washing and cleaning. When one of the bordello's meanest customers, an outlaw, noticed her, she knew her time had run out. She rushed to pack her things, only to discover that she'd accidentally stolen the outlaw's gold. Running away, she finds herself on a train headed for Desire, Oklahoma. Met by the tall, dark Indian, she finds herself drawn to him, and before she knew it, found herself married to him and his two brothers. She knew, though, that Willie would come after her and his gold. Realizing the danger she'd brought to her new home, she runs away, determined to keep her new husbands safe. But Hawk, Blade, and Phoenix Royal aren't intimidated by Willie and will do anything to protect her. So that synopsis gives a lot away about the book. But so talking about the story, so yeah, we start with Sarah in her life in the bordello, trying to make herself as invincible as she could to escape the notice of not only the customers who might see her in a different light and who might want to pay for her services, but also the bordello's madam, who would want her to earn her keep on her back, not just doing the washing and the cleaning and the general housekeeping that she did. So she had planned to escape as soon as she could and as far as she could, but living the life that she did, she didn't really have that much money to escape from there. So when in a sudden moment of boy truly bad luck, she finds the money or the ability for her to escape, and she doesn't hesitate. She takes what she can and she runs. So I thought that was quite brave of her, quite independent, and obviously needed. So it defines our character, but what we do in a situation of grave danger. And she, instead of crumbling down and submitting to what was expected of her, she ran away. She took the bull by the horns and she did it. So it was extremely brave of her, and I really liked her character for that. But what was quite illogical for me was that she's running away from trying to earn her keep on her back, but then she sees a poster for mail order brides for Desire, and she tells herself, I'll go get married to somebody in Desire. She doesn't know what kind of people there are. They could be outlaws. That's why they want mail order brides. She doesn't know anything about them, but she makes this snap decision to go to Desire and get married to these people. It's quite illogical, because normally, or what's logical to me personally, from running away from a bordello would be to being independent and trying to build herself. And I know it's difficult in these historical times for her to do that, but it just sort of didn't make sense to me that she would run towards getting married to this unknown person. But anyway, so she comes to Tulsa, and being the massive Friends geek that I am, every time I read the word Tulsa, I just immediately think of Chandler Bing, and it just brings a smile to my face. But anyway, so she comes to South Tulsa, and she meets Hawk Royal. So something else that didn't really make sense to me is that how quickly she trusted him. I guess it was explained that she had great instincts, but it was just, maybe personally I'm not somebody that quite that trusting, so it was just a bit difficult for me to understand. But it was sort of established that they had this instant connection, and that was a running theme in the book, so it worked for the story. It worked. And Hawk made her feel safe, and that's what mattered to her most. Nothing, love or feelings isn't something that initially mattered to her. It was about that trust, that feeling of safety that he brought to her. So it worked for the story, even though I personally wouldn't. It's just personally not my characteristic. It was her characteristic, and it worked for the story, so I was fine with that. And from reading Scandal's Desire and heard Hawk's backstory, we know, or I knew, that because Hawk has been hurt in the past, he was quite against getting married. So going into this book, I was thinking, oh God, I'm going to read a book where the guy is going to be resisting and being distant and just all out rejecting her for more than half the book. I'm just like dreading, hoping, having to read that, but it didn't happen. This book was quite a bit unpredictable, and I was very, very happy to see that Hawk didn't resist her. He saw her, he was drawn to her, and he realized, she's mine. He didn't fight about it. He didn't fight his feelings. He embraced it, and he embraced her. And I know some of the reasoning would have gone out of his head because of her upbringing, that she wasn't this pillar of, she wasn't born, in this with this great social status. So it might have been a bit okay a bit reasonable in his mind, but overall, that I was quite happy that all of them just embraced their feelings for each other, even if they didn't communicate it, but they embraced it. And that communication line, I was just thinking, every time there was some misunderstanding, there wasn't many, there was a few, not many, every time there was some misunderstanding, I'm just thinking in my head, don't assume, please do not assume, you do not know what's going on in their heads. Like, I think that's the disadvantage or advantage of being the reader who knows what's going on in the heads of all the characters, or all the main characters. And I'm just thinking, please do not assume this. How can you not see it? But so yeah. Anyway, so we've established Hawk and Sarah. So Blade and Phoenix are the other two brothers. We didn't really know that much about them previously, but you get to know them a lot here. Blade is quite like Hawk. He's serious, he's ruthless, he's mean. He doesn't really have that big of a playful side as Phoenix does. Phoenix is the playful husband, the playful brother who likes to tease and just have fun with, not just with Sarah, but with everything. So that's what set him apart from his brothers. But and I really liked Phoenix as a character. I liked Phoenix a lot. With Blade, what set him apart from Hawk is that he wasn't as hard towards love as Hawk was, but Blade has a different darkness inside him. But I was quite disappointed because from the hints, I assumed those darknesses lead towards him being a dominant, and him exploring more BDSM themes as Blade Royal in the modern version of in the Desire Oklahoma series to explores. He's into BDSM. He's a dom. I'm talking about Blade and Rachel, from book 2 of Desire. Okay, so his to see that his ancestor Blade Royal in this work, he has, I think from the hints that he was into those themes, but it wasn't really explored in the book. I kept waiting for it to be brought up, but it didn't. And then I thought maybe it's in the last scene, but it wasn't. There was this one scene with, it was sort of like a chastity belt, I think, but there was nothing else that was explored with that team, and I was pretty disappointed. I thought that is what sets him apart from Hawk. Hawk is quite Hawk lets Sarah get away with a lot more stuff, and he coddles her a lot, and that's fine. She needs that, but he's the brother that brings that aspect to their relationship, while Blade brings this other aspect into the relationship, and I was disappointed not to see that. Anyway, talking about BDSM and sex as a erotica historical book, this book was quite hot. I was very impressed by the very creative sex scenes, but I have to admit sometimes it lacked a lot of details, and I had to imagine some of the positions. I was rereading the passages, and it sort of didn't make sense to me, and I was just like, I'm trying to imagine the positions, but it sort of didn't work. I'm just like, how is this happening? This position sort of, I don't know how it worked. So, like, one of the most criticism about this book I have is that it lacked the detail in a lot of aspects, not just in the sex area, but in other areas as well. For example, their cabin, like, it was told there's 3 mattresses, there's a fireplace, there's a table, but we don't know where anything was. Like, were the mattresses together or in different corners of the house? Like, it sort of didn't make sense to me. The detail wasn't there for me to make it possible to imagine the scenario. I'm somebody that imagines what I'm reading. So when it was difficult for me, when the detail wasn't there, I had to put in my own extra bits to try to make it work. So it's that's my biggest criticism about this book. I heard, like, there wasn't enough detail in much of the scenes. However, it was great to see another side of this ranch life. That we saw the ranch life of the owners and the sheriff, but now we see the ranch life of the other helpers around, and we met a few more people. We got to know Duke a lot more, and I'm hoping to see Duke in the next book. Fingers crossed. I hope he gets his happily ever after soon. You don't have to wait another year for her Duke. I really hope it comes soon. But I realized Leah Brooke had a lot of personal things going on in her life, so her writing hasn't been as regular. But that's what makes that's one of the reasons why I read Leah Brooke, because her books aren't regular, and so there's no oversaturation of menage books that I read. So it's sort of she has a lot of running themes in her story, such as she doesn't want to put them, or she doesn't want to bring danger into the ranch, so she tries to run away. That's been a running theme in this series, but we can tolerate it because these books weren't so closely released together. So you're revisiting them and you realize, yes, this happened in that book, but you don't get annoyed by it. That's one of my biggest pet peeves about books, the repeated themes that authors have. I'm annoyed to stop reading authors because of this. I didn't really have a big problem with the running themes in her books as yet. But she writes a lot of different book series, if you know her, so it's fine. But it was great to find out and get to know the other characters. I hope we get more male brides and see their stories unfold soon. But the ranch life, to get into know and see the security measures that's been placed around the ranch, etc. It was good to know that, good to see that aspect of this world. And just overall, obviously I like the book. I've read it all out, and I read it in about 3 days now. And if you had to give a rating, I would give it about 3.3 and 3.5 stars out of 5, I'd say, around there. And I would recommend to any readers of Menage books, any Leah Brooke fans. I'm pretty sure you've already picked it up. Anybody who likes erotic historicals set in in America, I think it's Southern America, like with the cowboys and the Indians, etc. So and if you like reading about, once in a while, I mean, I agree, I know there's feminism and all of that, but once in a while it's good to read about men who are so protective of women and who do everything to take care of their women. It's quite refreshing to read that. So if you like reading about those type of characters and heroines who are a little bit crazy in their bravery, I certainly wouldn't have run so far towards danger, but that's not me. I don't know what I would do if I was in that situation, so I might be running towards danger too if I'm trying to save my husband, the love of my life, or loves. And so if you like to read about those type of heroes who are meek, who are submissive, but who has their playful, fun, lovely side, and who are brave as well. And for me, this book was far from predictable. Normally, I go into reading these Menage books thinking, I know what's going to happen. I've read so many, but it was not as I expected. A lot of aspects that were explored was not what I expected, and they were happy surprises for me. So pick up Savage Desire if you like what you heard, and you will hear more reviews from me when I'm fully read a whole story, because it's been a while since I found a good book that I actually read from start to end. I've started with a few books and then I've sort of not finished them recently, but hopefully I will get back into my group. So thank you. See you soon. And please share. I'm trying to raise money for the Right to Conquer Cancer, so please share, and if you can donate, it would be amazing.